Parshas Mishpatim, a pasuk in a parsha which is so significantly loaded with mitzvahs. It says, "V'chi yazid ish arayehu lahargoi ba'arma me'im mizbechiti kachenu lamos." If a person is amazed and he kills somebody with trickery, with obviously intentionally, me'im mizbechiti kachenu lamos. So if he runs, as the famous Gemara says, when Yoav killed, he ran to the Mizbech and held on like a sanctuary city, which is a current topic. So if he grabs onto the Mizbeach, thinking that he's going to be safe because he's holding onto the Mizbeach, the Torah said, take him away and take care of him. The Pirion, as the famous sefer which I've quoted here many a time, from Rav Shlomo Gans Fried, the author of the much more famous Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, brings down a fascinating insight, and I thought it would be worthwhile to share it. And he says, Lafi ani azdaiti, which is such a wonderful phrase, Lafi ani azdaiti, to my small and humble thoughts, is brought down in the Medrash Rabbah that the last pasuk in Parshas Yisro, which is one that precedes Mishpatim, which is a very famous pasuk, it says, V'loisale b'malos al mizbechi. You should not use steps to climb up on the Mizbeach. What do we have instead? I ask all of my kinderlach that I teach them, what's that ramp that's called going up to Mizbeach? It's called the kevesh. So that kevesh has no steps, it's a ramp. Okay? So that's the very last pasuk in Parshas Yisro. The very first pasuk in Mishpatim is Ve'el HaMishpatim. So the kasha is very clear, it's staring us in the face. What's the connection between V'leisal b'malos al mizbechi and Ve'el HaMishpatim? What does one have to do with the other? That's number one question. Number two question is, now, why did the Torah tell us that you can't go up on Mizbeach? Because you should not see their erva. Because it said, V'chi ervos and shel kohanim, you should not be able, if you take big steps and they have nothing else underneath their robe, so it would not be proper, it would not be decorous, proper decorum, for them to take big steps. It says, but the kasha is, it says, exactly the point of their begadim. The begadim were made to cover up those private parts of the body which have to be covered. So then why was the Torah having to give you a separate, additional azhara, a warning, that you have to walk up a ramp and be careful not to be megala b'sar erva? So he says here, Rav Aviva Avina says in the Medrash Rabbah, just like HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that the Kohanim should take small steps. In fact, it's brought down that they walked Ekev B'tzad Gudel. They would go heel to toe, and they took steps one step at a time, that they should go very carefully up the steps of the Kevesh. So too, Dayanim, when they're doing halachas of Mishpat, of Beis Din, they should not take very big steps, B'din. They should be very, very slow and thoughtful and careful when they do din, so that there's a tremendous connection between the steps going up to the Mizbeach and the din. Okay? Now, they should not rush to a din and say, I know what this halach is. We had this 10 times already. You think about each case, and you have to be medaktek, and you have to take your time and be mesunan b'din, and check out every single detail to make sure that you're doing the din exactly the way it should be. Now, this pasuk, which I quoted at the beginning, "V'chi yazid ish arayehu lahargai ba'arma," okay, even though you dayanim, from all of the evidence, from all of the edim, from all of the data that you've accumulated, you know that he did this b'zada, and he did this intentionally. He wanted to kill somebody, and he did it ba'arma. We have ways of proving it, whichever way it was. They were able to prove it. Nevertheless, despite that, don't rush to judgment. Don't rush to danim tamisa. However, you should do me'im mizbechiti kochenu lamos. What is me'im mizbechiti kochenu lamos? Not what Pashup Pshat is, he's holding on to the Mizbeach. But learn out from the halacha of the Mizbeach, which we just said in the last pasuk in Yisro. With what we just said, in Mizbechi, learn out from Mizbeach that just like by the Mizbeach, you shouldn't run up the steps to do psios gasos. You have to think about it, and you have to walk heel to toe. Therefore, too, You should learn from that how to do a din and be very misunim b'din, and you should be medaktek to do the din, and you should not rush to judgment to take him lamos. Now, what's fascinating is that where's this havamina that they would take steps to the point that the magala erva? There's a very famous Gemara in Brachas that they used to do a gairol in the Beis HaMikdash to pick which Kohanim did which avodah. Why? Because before they had a gairol, there was once a time when they were rushing up to do Trumas Adeshin. Everybody knows this famous Gemara in Masechta Brachas, where they were rushing up to Mizbeach, and one kohen was running after the other one, or on the side of one, and he was in such a hurry to do this mitzvah that he pushed the other kohen in his haste, and he knocked him down and he hurt him. I don't think he killed him. I think he just injured him. So after that, they made a gezerah that they should do a gairol. So I thought about it. You can't run in Bidei Kahuna. One would think that to lift up the hem of their garment to run up that mizbech as fast as they could. So there was indeed a tremendous concern that there could be some evidence or some element of walking up improperly and being megala b'sar erva. So therefore, I think it's a relevant halacha. I think it is something which could possibly happen, despite the fact that they're supposed to walk up very, very carefully and slowly. But that Gemara, connected with this Devar Torah, tells us. So what is the lesson for us? We should never rush to judgment. We should be done everybody l'kav schus. We are not based in, we're not dayanim. But we make judgments every single day from all of those around us, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's strangers. Always be done l'kav schus. The famous little story about the little kid who saw somebody going into his car on Shabbos, and he said, "Daddy, that man's going into his car on Shabbos." And the father said, "Of course, he's in Hatzalah, and he's running to help somebody because it's sakanas nefashos." Always be done l'kav schus, and you will be happy that you did. Get Shabbos.